get to Snapchatting Houston, what we've seen.
Sometimes negative attention is still attention, and I was being showered with attention by him, being told I was beautiful and funny, and I would post pictures of the meal I had made that night for supper, and he'd praise it, or the garden that I planted, and he'd make a big deal out of, why can't I find a woman like that? And it became very flattering to me to be.
Right. So is it fair to say then Houston is maybe giving you some attention that you weren't necessarily getting from Ryan at that time?
Yes.
Was your relationship with Houston, was it primarily online then?
Yes, 99% online. Yes, I cut his hair, but that ended at one point, and the online relationship continued.
Okay. When did you stop cutting his hair?
In February of 2021. Even when I was still cutting his hair, it's odd because when I would cut his hair, we would talk about the same things that I would talk about with any other customers, family, work. It wasn't lewd. It wasn't flirtatious. That was when we Snapchatted at night that it was like we were shy in person, but became other people when we were texting each other.
Okay. So if you stopped cutting his hair in February of 2021, did you ever have him, after you stopped cutting his hair, did you ever have him over to your house?
Not after February, no.
Did you ever see him in person again between February and June?
One time briefly in Waterloo, he had sent me a message asking if I could get him some beard wash. It's shampoo for the beard. And I agreed. And I had told him that I had a birthday present for his son as well to give him. And I was going to Waterloo, and I told him I would meet him outside of Shoe Carnival in Waterloo. And I dropped those items off to him, and that was it.
And is that the last time that you would have seen him then, prior to Ryan's death?
Yes.
Talked about there's a message about a rogue semi-accident that we saw on the Snapchat. Did you want your husband dead?
No.
Why would you say that?
Because I have a really sick sense of humor sometimes, inappropriate humor, and I was probably angry. There were times that we weren't getting along the greatest, and like people have said, especially when I drink, I have a sharp tongue sometimes and can say nasty things.
I think there might have been conversations about divorce. Were you going to leave your husband?
I didn't plan on it. No. I didn't want to break up our family. Our relationship wasn't perfect, but I knew I didn't want to break up our family.
Saw a little bit in the Snapchat content about, was Houston jealous of your relationship with Ryan?
Houston acted like he was my husband and Ryan was my boyfriend. Like I was, if Ryan and I were together, he acted like I was sneaking around with my husband and cheating on him somehow.
Did Houston talk about killing Ryan?
Several times.
Did you ever take him seriously?
No, I thought he was full of crap. He liked to brag about how he knew powerful people and his dad knew dangerous people, and he insinuated that he had been involved in some other crimes.
But you didn't believe him?
No, he's got quite a reputation around town with women and telling tall tales.
if we had the other Snapchat content, would it show these things about Houston going off about Ryan?
Yes, several threats.
What would your reaction be when he's making these threats? How did you handle it?
Laughed it off, used sarcasm, sometimes replied inappropriately, like when he would say, he said one time, "Don't use your husband's truck in the morning, there's going to be a bomb planted under it." And I replied, "Gee, thanks for the heads up."
Yeah. Okay. So does that mean, though, do those messages mean that you, or did you, want your husband dead?
No.
Did you see Houston the night of June 17th into June 18th?
No.
I guess we do have these Snapchats about shell casings. What's going on?
Again, it's not the first time that that had been talked about. I didn't take him seriously. He'd said, he had made a comment before about walking into the shop. When Ryan was there, I was gone with the kids at the swimming pool. And he had made a comment. He said, "If you get home and find your husband dead, make sure you pick up those shells for me." And I had asked him, "What in the world, like, LOL, what does that mean?" And he said, "Well, according to CSI, that's how they always catch the killer." So I took it as a joke.
Okay.
So it had been referenced before. It was 3:30 in the morning, like you said, and I said there were several messages before that he was very aggressive towards me that night and upset and angry. When those messages came through, I was more or less, Snapchat, like most of you know, once you open a message and you exit out, the Snapchat is gone. It's not like a text that you can go back and reread what was there. I halfway read messages, didn't always read them thoroughly, I wasn't paying attention, plain and simple.
And your belief, when you said go, did you believe that you said more?
I know I said more. I sent 3 messages in a row.
What did they say?
Go to sleep. 3 messages, like putting periods in between the words to emphasize go to sleep.
So, during the night then, I want to get to the part. What wakes you up?
Crashing noise.
Okay. Did your kids wake up at the crashing noise?
No.
Did your kids wake up at any gunshots?
No.
So you heard a crashing noise. What do you do?
I got out of bed and I stumbled on the dog at the end of the bed and I walked out of the bedroom. I walked into the bathroom because that's what I thought it was our shower caddy had fallen. It had fallen earlier in the week.
All right. Where did you go next?
I went to the kitchen next and looked out the window that is over the sink, which overlooks basically our driveway and front yard.
Did you see anybody out there?
I did not.
What did you do next?
Then I went and walked into the living room on the other side of the house to turn on, well, in all honesty, to yell at Ryan for not waking up with me, because my thought was, why isn't he up? Like, how did he not hear that? So then I walked to the living room and turned on a lamp.
Was there some point that we've heard that you said that you got up at some point and heard Ryan snoring? Is that a different time window then?
When I got up to go to the bathroom around what I thought was 3 o'clock in the morning, I heard him snoring regularly.
Okay.
When I was in the kitchen, I heard a single snore sound come from the living room.
Okay. Do you have your phone in your hand while you're walking, making these steps?
Most likely, yes.
So, you get to the living room, you turn on the lamp. What happens?
I see Ryan, and then I see a large pool of blood. I shook his foot,
Okay.
and then I just started screaming.
And then how long are we waiting before we call Aaron Cooper?
It seemed like forever, but a couple of minutes. I ran back out of the living room through the dining room, and I was halfway up the steps when Cade was coming down the steps. I think I scared him because I remember him like turning around like he was going to run away from me, like run back up the steps, and then he realized it was me, and I grabbed him and we went downstairs, and I put him in the bedroom, and I went in the bedroom as well, and I believe that's where I called Aaron from, was the bedroom. So to answer your question, it was probably a couple of minutes, but it felt like a lifetime.
I want to ask you about State's Exhibit 313. Is this a fair, is this correct?
I wish my bathroom was that big. No, it's not.
Okay. So what they labeled as hallway, can you tell us what that room was?
So what they labeled as hallway is actually a dining room that I used as a sewing room because we called it the wasted room. It was just a room in the center of the house.
Okay. And so is the sewing room, dining room, is it bigger than this?
Yes, much.
I mean, if we're going to talk about a scale like this, so it would be taking up some of the space that this has labeled as bathroom.
Over half of it.
Okay. And when I think we saw Detective Fangman's body cam, we can see him go through these rooms.
Yes.
I want to know, is this door, this mudroom door, is that the door that was most frequently used when people would come over?
Yes.
Do you know whether this front door on the steps, do you know whether that door was locked?
I can't say for sure. I made the assumption that it was locked. It was a newer door, and it was the type of door that even if it's locked, you can open it from the inside. I'd be fairly confident that it was locked.
Right.
However, like I've said before, the kids ran in and out of that door a lot to go outside to play. The dog was let in and out of that door a lot, but you're always opening it from the inside. So I can't say for certain if it'd be locked from the outside.
Okay. You have the baby gate on the steps. What was it for?
It was to keep the dog off of those steps because he would sit at the screen door, and that's why the storm door was up, because he had ripped through the screen door, pawing, begging to come inside. So we put that baby gate up to keep him off that landing.
Okay. I guess returning then to when we're calling Aaron, can you tell us why you called Aaron instead of 911 first?
Aaron lives less than a mile from